I was out of town for work for 3 weeks, and when I came back, this is what I found. So in this video, I'm going to try and diagnose and hopefully fix whatever is going on here. So it's clear that I probably have blown out a main seal or something like that, but what adds to the mystery is that a couple days before I left for my work trip, the bike started making a clacking sound when I would turn it over with the kicker, or it would make it a lot when it was running, but I still ran it for like another 2 days. And then I left and it had this huge oil spill. So we're going to try and diagnose where that clacking is coming from, and hopefully it will be easily correlated between the two problems. So I've got my assistant Kimberly here to help me, and she's going to be listening while I turn the bike over with the kicker.
I don't know really what I'm doing, but Andrew tells me if I hold this thing up to my ear and I put it here, I'm going to hear some noise in the engine, and then it should sound different than if I hold it down here and touch it down there. So I'm going to try. Yeah, it's louder on that side, definitely.
So the advantage of the Carrata open primary, one of the advantages is that you can take this rim off here without having to take your main nut off of your main shaft, and that way you can change your belt back and forth. So right now I was just taking the belt off, and as I was undoing these bolts, if you look at the rotor is moving when I push on the belt pulley, which means that at a minimum the main nut has loosened up, or maybe something even worse is going on. So it's an interesting early sign. So I've got everything cleaned up. I just need to take basically my alternator off, taking my rotor off so I can see what's going on in there. I don't recommend using an impact wrench on Evo style rotors, because I've done it before and it cracked loose some of the magnets because they're just glued in. They're not structurally attached. But I don't know of any other good way to get the main nut off, so I'm just going to take my chances with this.
Did it work?
It's guaranteed to work, it just might break it. All the magnets are still attached. That's a good thing. It's a lot of oil in here, which means that we probably, we weren't really in doubt where the oil leak was coming from. So. This is the stator. It's attached by just these little bolts, so we'll pop that off. Take a look underneath. There's two possible places where the oil can come from, either the main seal or where there's a little clamp here or a tab that holds the wires from the rotor down. Sometimes the holes that you attach the clamp in, they go all the way through into the engine case, which is a stupid design. So sometimes if those become loose a little bit, or if you haven't put enough epoxy in them, oil comes out through there.
Okay.
So this is the sound that I was making. It's the rotor going back and forth on the main shaft. So when you see the main shaft, either the rotor's teeth or the main shaft spline, you see some wear on the main shaft spline, and it's causing a lot of play. See these little divots in the splines. So it's this is a Evo rotor that I put on, and one of the differences between the Evo rotors and the Shovelhead rotors are the teeth here. The Shovelhead has about twice as much tooth length as the Evo rotors. And I think that might have contributed to the splines in the main shaft getting worn out. So I'm going to put one of my old Shovelhead rotors on the spline and see if that helps.
Go.
Alright, so you can see the difference between the Shovelhead rotor, which I have in my right hand, and the Evo rotor I have in my left hand. First off, the magnets in the Shovelhead rotor are sealed, so they are a lot more durable. And then if you can see the lip here, the teeth are a lot deeper on the Shovelhead than on the Evo. The teeth are very thin. It's about half as much surface area. So I think that what happened was at some point my crankshaft nut got a little bit loose, and then when the rotor came out and started wobbling around, started leaking out through the crank spacer. So I'm just going to put this thing on, tighten the whole thing up, and hopefully that'll be good enough.
When I started the bike up, I relearned the same lesson over and over again, that you should always put an oil pan under the case drain hose, like that right there, because they vent oil when they've been sitting for a while.
Alright, I tightened up the crank nut and fixed the rotor. Now it's time to show off the quick release oil drain plug that I put on a couple of episodes ago. So I'll show you how that works and refill it up with oil. This is the oil I like to use, the Valvoline VR1 20W50. Sometimes I'll go to the 60 weight in the summer, but I'm kind of moving away from that and just letting it leak and always getting 20W50. There's the oil drain plug that I've got. To release the oil, I just rotate this knob 90 degrees. It's just a ball valve from Lowe's. It's coming down nice and neat out of that hose. Last step of the oil change is going to be changing out the filter. So to do that, get this set up. It's important to put a film foil on the outside of the gasket for some reason. Why? And then you only hand tighten. So usually when I try and cold start this bike on video without cutting away, it takes like 1,000 kicks to start it. So we'll try and test fate here and try and do a cold start on it, even though it hasn't run in a couple days. So we'll see a couple of primer kicks. Power, choke. This bike likes a lot of primes.
Wiener. No wiener. Wiener. No wiener. Wiener.